What's up, everyone? Welcome back to PackToSleeve. My name is Justin, and today we will be opening a box of Core 2021. So, new set has released recently, so we're going to crack some packs, see what we can get. As I've done in the past with booster boxes, I'll be focusing on the rares, the mythics, the foils, and the showcase cards. Try to get through the packs as reasonable amount of time as I can. So we won't spend too much time, but I will talk a little bit about the commons and uncommons as we come across them, but like I said, I won't spend much time. But let's go ahead and get started and see what we can pull. Alright, oh, looks like we're going in reverse again. Alright, first off, we've got Rada, Heart of Keld. For 1, a red and a green, is a 3/3 elf warrior. As long as it is your turn, Rada, Heart of Keld has first strike. You may look at the top card of your library at any time, and you may play lands from the top of your library. And the activated ability is you can pay 4, a red and a green, and Rada gets +X/+X until the end of turn, where X is the number of lands you control. Rada looks like a lot of fun, particularly in Gruul decks, and even, Grasp of Darkness, good reprint. Got to showcase Garruk's Gorehorn, sorry. But anyway, Rada seems like she could be a lot of fun as a commander as well, or just in commander decks. So I'm interested to see what all Rada can do. Oop, I have a little difficulty. There we go. Saproling token. All right, and we got a Chandra's Incinerator foil. So for 5 and a red is a 6/6 elemental. The spell costs X less to cast, where X is the total number of non-combat damage dealt to your opponent this turn. Has trample, and whenever a source you control deals non-combat damage to the opponent, the Chandra's Incinerator deals that much damage to target creature or planeswalker that opponent controls. I know a lot of people are talking about this in Modern Burn, so I'll be very interested to see if Chandra's Incinerator shows up. Hey, there we go. First mythic we got is Teferi, Master of Time. So that was a great pack. For 2 and 2 blue, for a 3 loyalty Teferi Planeswalker, you may activate loyalty abilities of Teferi, Master of Time. On any player's turn at any time, you could cast an instant. +1 is draw a card, then discard a card. -3 is target creature you don't control phases out. And -10 is you take 2 extra turns after this. There's so many variants. This one is the purple variant, number 276, so very interesting. Teferi's already seeing a decent amount of play already, so we'll see what decks he likes to fit in, particularly in older formats and after rotation. And we've got the Temple of Malady. So this is the Golgari Temple, comes in tapped. When it enters, scry 1, and you can tap it for black or green. So put that there. Unsubstantiate's a good reprint, so is Radiant Fountain. There's a lot of good reprints in the common and uncommon slot. I like this core set a lot. Alright. And Swiftwater Cliffs and Double Vision. For 3 and 2 red, for an enchantment, whenever you cast your first instant or sorcery spell each turn, copy that spell. You may choose new targets for the copy. Interesting enchantment. Watcher of Spheres. That one could be good in a blue-white flyers list if you're interested in standard. More on a budget. Blue-white flyers has a lot of pieces, so that's a good tool for it. Alright, we got a Showcase Forest. And our rare is the Conspicuous Snoop. Let's put Showcase over here. This one is showing up all over the place in Goblins lists in Modern and Pioneer. So for 2 red, it's a 2/2 Goblin Rogue. You play with the top of your library revealed. You may cast Goblin spells from the top of your library. As long as the top card of your library is a Goblin, Conspicuous Snoop has all activated abilities of that card. This one plays really well in Modern with Kiki Jiki and Bogart Harbinger, I believe, is a combo where you can kill them with those 3 cards. And we got Sublime Epiphany, the modal card. So for 4 and 2 blue, for an instant, choose 1 or more. Counter target spell, counter target activated or triggered ability. Return target non-land permanent to its owner's hand and create a token that is a copy of target creature you control, and target player draws a card. I know people are playing that as one or two ofs in some lists right now. I don't know if Commander players interested in that one. Leave a note in the comments, let me know. And we got a foil ornery Dilthophosaur. I know I just butchered that, but that's okay. And Pack Leader, good Doge. So for 1 and a white for a 2/2 dog, other dogs you control get +1/+1, and whenever Pack Leader attacks, prevent all combat damage that would be dealt this turn to dogs you control. I know a lot of people have been having fun with kind of budget lists of dogs, and even the Paw Blade deck with Winota and Embercleave. Being able to throw off people's blocking by having his ability is pretty good. All right, we've got Vryn Wingmare, which is a downshifted rare. Was I think rare the last time it was seen was in Origin, so downshifted now to uncommon. And our rare is Karavek the Spiteful. So for 2 and 2 black for a 3/2 legendary creature human warlock, other creatures get -1/-1. Unleashed Fury as an aggro player, that one card interests me. I have not really found a good home for that yet. Basri's Alkalite Showcase card. But I'm interested to see if I can make that work, because once again, you can throw off their combat math. It's always a good way to win. And we got Shacklegeist. I think this card has shown up already in Pioneer Spirits. So for 1 and a blue for a 2/2 Spirit with flying, it can block only creatures with flying, and you can tap 2 untapped spirits you control to tap target creature you don't control. Experimental Overload. Okay, moving right along. We got Showcase Plains and Jorel Movali Recluse. This card is, I think, one of the more underrated cards in Standard at the moment and in the set. So for 1 and a green for a 1/2 human druid, whenever you draw your second card of each turn, create a 2/2 green cat creature token. And for 4 and 2 green, until the end of turn, creatures you control have base power and toughness XX, where X is the number of cards in your hand. I know that one sees play in some of the Bant lists, another Garruk Scorehorn showcase. Goes really naturally with Uro and... Oh man, totally blanking on the other Simic card. That's alright though. Alright, Griffin Token, Tranquil Cove, and Azusa Lost But Seeking. Great reprint for Modern and Commander. So for 2 and a green for a 1/2 human monk, you may play 2 additional lands on each of your turns. You can do some fun stuff with that and Rada, as you can play them off the top of your library in Standard if you're interested in a red-green ramp or even Teamer ramp. Not sure how good it is, but it'd be fun. Alright, we got an Experimental Overload foil, which looks really cool in foil with all the purples and reds. And a Fabled Passage, another really good reprint to keep the price down. As a land, you can tap it to sacrifice Fabled Passage, search your library for a basic land card and put it onto the battlefield tap, then shuffle your library. Then, if you control 4 or more lands, untap that land. So, great reprint. Here you go. This is one of the cards behind in the Paw Blade deck, the Alpine Houndmaster, because you can search up 2 cards each time. Man, another Garruk Scorehorn. You can search up 2 different the 2/2 with Vigilance and the 1/2 that you can pump. Alright, and we got Liliana's Standard Bearer for 2 and a black for a 3/1 Zombie Knight with Flash. When it enters the battlefield, you draw X cards, where X is the number of creatures that died under your control this turn. That one's a good way for decks to aggro decks to rebuild from sweepers. It's kind of competing right now with Midnight Reaper, but could see some play after rotation depending on how the meta goes. and Foil Thrill of Possibility. I've got a whole bunch of those now. And we got See the Truth. For 1 and a blue, for sorcery, look at the top 3 cards of your library, put one of those cards into your hand and the rest on the bottom of your library in any order. If the spell was cast anywhere other than your hand, put each of those cards into your hand instead. I know people are trying to figure out ways of doing that in Modern with Snapcaster Mage. Really easy way to just 2 mana, draw 3. Otherwise, it's just kind of a sorcery speed anticipate, which is not very good. There's your cat token for Jolriel. And we got another foil Chandra's Incinerator, this time the showcase version. I like that flame border at the bottom. All right. And we got Speaker of the Heavens for 1 white for a 1/1 human cleric with vigilance and lifelink. You can tap him to create a 4/4 white angel token with flying. Activate this ability only if you have at least 7 more life than your starting life total, and only at a time when you can cast a sorcery. So really good in the either mono white or black white life gain lists with built around veto. So someone posted today a mono white angels list with Baneslayer Angel and Angel of Vitality that's playing that card, and Bishop of Wings. And we got the Temple of Epiphany. Enters tapped. When it enters, scry 1, and you can tap it for blue or red. All right, moving right along. Tempo reprints aren't that exciting, but keeps the price really low, and they're solid role players in terms of lands. And we got Demonic Embrace for 1 and 2 black for Enchantment Aura, enchant creature. That creature gets +3/+1. It has flying and is a demon in addition to its other types. You may cast Demonic Embrace from your graveyard by paying 3 life and discarding a card in addition to paying its other costs. I think that has just started showing up in the mono black aggro lists. Just started seeing this past weekend. Very, very cheap card, very good card in those lists. And we got, all right, our second mythic is Discontinuity. For 3 and 3 blue is an instant as long as it is your turn. This spell costs 2 and 2 blue less to cast and end the turn. I got 2 of those in my pre-release kit, as well as Teferi, so a bunch of those mythics. All right. We got a foil Gloom Sower and the Maze Mind Tome. For 2 mana, it's an artifact. You can tap it to put a page counter on it to scry 1. You can spend 2 and tap it to put a page counter on it and draw a card. When it has 4 more page counters, exile it, and if you do, gain 4 life. Could see some play in in control decks. It's just a way to draw some cards, or if you need to, just scry and then gain 4 life against the aggros lists. All right, our third mythic is Chromatic Orrery. For 7 mana as a legendary artifact. You may spend mana as though it was mana of any color. You can tap it to add 5 colorless, and you can spend 5 and tap it to draw a card for each color among permanents you control. Definitely a commander card if I would say so myself. Might be a little slow unless you've got a lot of ramp. I don't know. I don't know what decks would use that, but I figure that's a big splashy artifact, so Commander seems a pretty logical place. And we got a foil Swamp and Niambi, Esteemed Speaker. For a white and a blue for a 2/1 human cleric with flash. When she enters the battlefield, you may return another target creature you control to its owner's hand. If you do, gain mana or gain life equal to that creature's converted mana cost. And you can spend 1 a white and a blue to tap it and discard a legendary card to draw 2 cards. So a Lofty Denial in there. See some play in some of the blue tempo lists in both Standard and Pioneer. And we got a third foil rare. This is the Maze Mind Tome again. That one looks really cool with the foiling on the book there. All right. And a second Sublime Epiphany. That one would be cool in foil as well with all the detail it's got going on. All right. Oh, there you go. Conclave Mentor, the Selesnya version of the Winding Constrictor from Aether Revolt. Seems like it could be pretty good since Venerated Loxodon is still in the format. All right. We got a Griffin Airy foil, and I spoiled it a little bit, but we got a second Azusa, Lost But Seeking. If you're going to get duplicate rares, that seems like a pretty good one. All right. Now this one has seen some play with Vito because of that gain 6 life. Gain 6, deal 6. Seems pretty good, but very inconsistent because it's a coin flip. All right. Hopefully we get, there we go. We got a Showcase Island, which is pretty cool. I like the frame there. And we got our third Chandra's Incinerator. So we got a regular foil, a Showcase foil, and a regular one. Guess there are worse cards you can get, especially if it starts taking off and burn. There you go, there's Lofty Denial. Really good in those mono blue flying tempo lists, or even you probably could play it in the blue-white flyers list as well. You just got to make sure your mana works out pretty well. And we got a foil Gale Swooper and the Glorious Anthem. And for 1 and 2 white, it is an enchantment. Creatures you control get +1/+1. Fierce Empath. It's a fun reprint there. So some people trying that in Amulet to be able to find more of the Primeval Titan. And we got a foil Walking Corpse and Necromentia. For 1 and 2 black, for sorcery, choose a card name other than basic land name. Search your target opponent's graveyard, hand, and library for any number of cards with that name. Exile them. Then that player shuffles their library and creates a 2/2 black zombie creature token for each card exiled out of their hand that way. It's one of the better versions of that. Here's another good reprint, Kitesail Freebooter. Apparently, we almost got a playset of the Garruk's Gorehounds, so Showcase. And we got our third Mythic is Fiery Emancipation. For 3 and 3 red, for an enchantment, if a source you control would deal damage to a permanent or player, it deals triple that damage instead. You can do some bonkers stuff with that. Lightning Bolt for 9 damage. Granted, you got to get it onto the battlefield, and 6 mana, particularly triple red, is a lot, but even still. And we got another Speaker of Heavens. We're getting a lot of duplicate rares in this box. Luckily, we got some decent ones, but even still, I'd rather get a little bit more variety to complete playsets, but it is what it is. There we go, a foil Garruk Showcase. Very nice. Garruk Unleashed for 2 and 2 green for a 4 loyalty Garruk Planeswalker. +1 target, up to 1 target creature gets +3/+3 and gains trample until the end of turn. You can -2 to create a 3/3 beast token. And if the opponent controls more creatures than you, put a loyalty counter back on Garruk. And you can -7 to get an emblem at the beginning of your end step. You may search your library for a creature card and put it onto the battlefield and shuffle your library. And the Spark Hunter Masticore is our non-foil in that pack. For 3 mana, for an artifact creature Masticore, 3/4. An additional cost to cast this spell, discard a card. It has protection from Planeswalkers, and you can spend 1 to it deal 1 damage to target Planeswalker, or you can spend 3 to give it indestructible until the end of turn. All right. So, what do you guys think of the Showcase and full art Planeswalkers in this? Should they have just stuck with one or the other, or do you like having a lot of variety? Hey, another foil Swamp. And another conspicuous Snoop. All right, well, like I said, there are worse ones to get duplicates of, but man, there's a lot of duplicates in this box. Got a few more packs to go. And the Ruined Halo, another reprint for 2 white mana as an enchantment. When it enters the battlefield, choose a card name, and you have protection from the chosen card name. Sanctum of All, the shrine payoff. Here you go. And you can spend Wooburg as for a legendary enchantment shrine. At the beginning of your upkeep, you may search your library or graveyard for a shrine and put it onto the battlefield. If you search your library this way, shuffle it. If an ability of another shrine you control triggers while you control 6 or more shrines, that ability triggers an additional time. Has anybody tried building a shrines list in either standard or in historic, since they reprinted or they added the Kamigawa shrines to historic? And we got a Keen Glide Master, sorry. And our rare is another duplicate, Joriel Muvali Recluse. Man, oh man. Like I said, she's been pretty underrated. I saw she just started going up in price. I think the regular ones are now about $1.50. Now you can pre-order them for 50 cents. So people starting to catch on that one was pretty undercosted. And Volcanic Salvo for 10 and 2 red. For a sorcery, this spell costs X less to cast, where X is the total power of creatures you control. Volcanic Salvo deals 6 damage to each of up to 2 target creatures and or planeswalkers. So get rid of 2 of their big hitters with that one. All right, last 2 packs. Let's see if we can get another Mythic, although 5 Mythics might be pushing it. Basri Ket emblem. Put that aside. And we got a Showcase to Fairies Ageless Insight. For 2 and 2 blue for a legendary enchantment. If you would draw a card except the first one you draw on each of your draw steps, draw 2 cards instead. All right, Basri Solidarity. All right, last pack of our first box as I dump a bunch of cards all over the place. And another duplicate. This one is the duplicate Mythic, the Chromatic Orrery. Man, what a weird box. But that's all right. Any other good showcase cards hidden in there? Well, I hope you've enjoyed this box. If you have any thoughts on new deck lists or anything like that for Core 2021 Standard, I'd love to see them. Leave a comment in the leave a note in the comments there. And I hope you've enjoyed this. If you would, I would love it for you to like the video and subscribe. Shout out to Gillybean Jr. for creating the new end scene as well as some thumbnails for me, so I really appreciate that. But it looks like I am all tapped out for now. I'll see you guys later.